We're live. We're live. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Okay, yeah. It always takes guests like 2 seconds, and then they start going like this too. Welcome, Keith Silverstein. How are you? He got carried away. Okay.
I'm good. I'm great. Now you got me in a dancing mood all of a sudden. Where'd that come from?
I love it. So I think there's going to be a lot of people watching today because there are a lot of Torb fans out there, and just fans.
Who's that?
Just, like a little character that nobody really knows. He gets his beard caught in a letterbox a lot. So
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think he talks like this, right? He's got red hair, pitch furs, like bubbly, like a little baby or something, right?
He does. People get really excited with that voice.
He has a lisp. He has a lisp also?
It's back here. This is back here.
He's way back in the back, and he talks like this, and he says, build him up, break him down, right?
Yes.
Always underestimate the engineers.
I'm pretty sure, right?
Imagine if he really spoke like that. He be a dwarf? That's one of the questions of Magic of Tetra.
He be a dwarf, he be.
I usually have to announce what the guests have been in, and the people are excited. I'm a fan of both of you. Hey, it's the dwarf. Glad to meet you, Keith. Kisses from hello from Argentina, and kisses from somewhere else.
Hello, Argentina.
Super excited. Everyone's here. For the last time, I'm Swedish. How does that one go?
For the last time, I'm Swedish.
Something like that.
All right, let me properly intro you. Guys,
Yes.
This is Keith
Silverstein,
who not only is the voice of torbjorn in Overwatch, but also, I don't know how to pronounce these all, but I'm going to do my best. Zombra in Genshi in Impact, Hawk Moth on Miraculous, we're going to talk about that. Hisoka in Hunter x Hunter, or Hunter by Hunter, or Hunter times Hunter.
It's just Hunter, but you're doing great.
What the fuck is the X in between the hunters?
It's just
5 because, one should announce with 5 and then get into things as we talk.
Right.
Welcome.
I'm all that. Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and I love your setup out there.
I'm happy to be home.
You're home. Talk to me about all the stuff behind you. Are those all characters you've voiced or just things you're a fan of?
All right. So I have always been a collector at heart. I collect Magic the Gathering. I collect records, vinyl. People, look it up, kids. And I love toys. I've always loved toys and such. But what I did with the toys is I limited it to what you said, things that either characters I played or some of them relate to a show I was on. Like they don't always make a toy for your character, but they may have a little poster or an ad or, something that relates to your show. So yes, all this stuff, and it continues on the walls around me too, but it's everywhere. So you got, I got Lupin the Third here. Everybody's here. They're all around me. Torb's over here. I got lots of them. There's a whole shelf.
Oh my God, the tiny ones are so cute. The little keychains? Those are my absolute favorite.
Yeah, I have 6 of those because people kept giving them to me. And I was like, yeah, I'll take them. I'll throw them in my office. They're cute.
Yeah, so I have a personal question.
Okay. Let's get serious.
Who dusts these things?
It's me.
Oh, okay, good. As long as you're not I'll tell my wife she should come in and do it every day,
Wait, you've met Rosemary. There's no way I'm telling her to come and dust this crap for me.
So does that mean that they're really dusty right now, or they're actually spotless?
No, they're pretty good right now. We did a lot of construction in our home, and because everything else was getting new and shiny, I repainted in here, and that meant I had to take everything out, which meant replacing everything back. It all got rearranged. I didn't remember where things were, so it has a new look as of late. Yeah. But of course, I dusted it at that point.
Is there a dream that one day you'll sell all of these and become a billionaire, or are you going to keep these to the day you die?
I'm going to saddle my children with this when I die, and they'll have to figure out what to do with all this.
They'll have to figure out how to dispose.
Yeah, there may be stuff they want to keep. Maybe, stuff. Maybe if anybody cares about the characters, because hopefully I'm going to die in a long time. Maybe they'll auction some stuff off to charity or something, and it'll go to a good cause. Who knows? But it's all kinds of stuff.
Or to buying their first, Maserati, whatever.
Their first Maserati.
You
dream big.
Yeah, hey,
really big.
You gotta dream big.
Yeah.
So
no, I just have to get it because all these little toys and stuff. When your game or your show comes out, they're plentiful, and then they disappear. They all disappear. They're just, you can't find them. You can barely find them on eBay. Some of these, a lot of these things are from Japan.
Oh my God! So do I need to jump on getting some sombras? I heard the pops are gonna, not be sold anymore.
I'm sure you have an extra son. I have one extra of all my pops. I only need one that I'm not selling.
Dude, I end up giving them away. I'm not a collector, so my friend's 3-year-old comes in and goes, and I'm like, I'll take it. And then I'm the cool aunt, but I gotta maybe not give them away,
Give them away. I don't want to deny you that. That's your pleasure. I just keep one. I give other things away.
Yeah. So I have a comment here by Sean Mr. Wick. My two favorite damaged people in Overwatch. Feeling pretty darn good watching you both. He also got his second vaccine today,
nice.
So he's taking it easy. Yeah.
Well done. I hope you're not feeling it too much.
I heard the second one's a little bit harder than the first, but
I've heard, but some people make it through without having it. But that's how you know it's working. You're like, oh, this sucks. It's working.
Yeah, exactly. So, talk to me. Have you been recording a lot from home during? I know this pandemic is now kind of weaning off, but we're still kind of in the middle of it. Has it been a fruitful one for you in recording?
Yeah, when everything got shut down, there was about a week to a week and a half where it slowed down a lot. I think all the studios were trying to figure it out. And then after that, a couple studios figured it out and started recording me from home. I mean, me and others. And then other people would jump in. So I felt like, and there was a big lag. It was over 6 weeks that I would keep getting new studios going, hi, we'd like to start recording from home. Can you send us a sample from your studio? So I was doing that for, I'm already recording for big companies, but sure, here you go. So I was still sending these samples out, weeks and weeks. But it's been strangely, after that, it's probably the busiest I've ever been, which is, I don't know if that's, and it's weird, but you don't have to drive places. So I guess you can pack more sessions into a day, and people can animate separately. So I don't think animation and video games really stopped.
Yeah, they just recalibrated, and poor sound engineers have to walk us through a million things in every session. They're like, okay, go to this place on your computer. Just give me remote control. I'll do it, because it's just so much. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. No, I mean, I don't need to know when you were born, but I do love your story about voice acting, because it's a very unique. You had all these things that you were passionate about, and then how you honed in on it was particular. And if you don't mind summarizing that guy, because I know you've told it a bunch, but it's a really beautiful way of how you said, oh, this is me.
Yeah, well, you make it out to be such a nice thing. I was a young kid who was average at a whole bunch of things. And I knew I didn't want to do a 9-to-5 job. I was very indecisive. Everybody else was like, I'm going to college and I'm going to study this specifically. And I was very I don't know what I want to take a couple years. I want to figure out what I want to do. And so at one point I thought I was going to be a dancer. I thought I was going to be a rapper. I thought I was going to be an on-camera actor. I thought I'd be a screenwriter. There were all these things, and I didn't focus on any of them. So my uncle called me up, and he was an incredible artist, and he had created all these characters and poetry to go with them, basically, to simplify it. And so he wanted this poetry read in different character voices. So I called back literally on his answering machine and read a bunch of stuff in different voices for him. And he ended up casting me. But the thing was, it was a number of roles, and it was a real studio with a real engineer, which I'd never been in before. And there was another actress there that I was working with. Even though our stuff was separate, we were, so I saw how she worked and she saw how I worked. And I just fell in love with it. And after she left, my uncle encouraged me just to goof around on the mic, just for no reason. It had nothing to do with the project.
Yeah.
And I goofed around, did a bunch of voices. I had them laughing, and the engineer was laughing, and it was.
It feels good when people laugh at what we do, right?
Well, I was being serious, so I was sad.
Oh no.
No, I was goofing around, and which I do all the time, pretty much. And so then I just followed up from there, and I was like, I got to get into some classes. I got to figure out how to do this, and that was it. I've never turned back. I haven't wanted anything else. I've been it was a road for me, It wasn't like I started getting work right away. But
what were your random jobs to pay bills until you got there?
Well, of course, I waited tables. I flipped burgers. I worked for...
That's a sentence everyone says, I flipped burgers. I never flipped burgers personally, but I waited a ton of tables. So.
No, I worked at like a 50s diner style place.
Oh, man.
So that was where I was like, that was the only time I was a cook. I worked at a number of restaurants, like waiting tables and things like that. The only time I did any kind of cooking, it feels weird in my memory because that wasn't my thing, but it's easy to flip burgers. Apparently, once you learn how to do it, like anybody can do it. And then I worked for Goodyear Tires. I was in charge of this is so weird, their entire Orange County Transit Department fleet of buses. And so I would maintain the tires. I would check the tires on like 180 buses, make sure they had enough tread on them still when they came in and they were damaged or flat, whatever. I would repair them or replace them. But the best part of that job, I did it at night. So it was like graveyard shift. So only the mechanics were there and I had my own section. And I would drive these big ass buses around in this giant parking lot and pull the little microphone over to me and be like, hey, if you look over to your right, you'll see John Wayne's home where he grew. And all the mechanics just thought I was the most ridiculous guy to be doing this at 2 a.m.
But you must have given them such a fun time.
I guess. I'm sure, when I drove by, it gave them something to laugh at in a good way,
Totally. Yeah. Oh my God, how funny. So Sean wants to know if you have photos of the 50 style diner, that would be really cute. But I think it's awesome. Like I've interviewed so many people here that like ended up having graveyard shifts and I'm like, shit, I did not do that. And I don't think I would have survived because I need my sleep. But I'm just amazed at, all the crazy jobs we end up doing to pay bills while we're pursuing our dreams.
Yeah. No, I had to do a lot of that for sure. But mostly it was the waiting tables because that's very convenient. You can get a shift covered. You know what I mean? It's much easier to, if you start getting some work to make time for that. So,
I mean, as an actress in New York, I think that like I just needed to work nights and weekends so that I could have my 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. free for auditions. But then if you book a job, it could film whenever. So you kind of have to. I remember when I booked my the first time I worked on Max Payne 3, which was the first video game I ever worked on doing mocap. They booked me on a Sunday to work on a Monday, dude. And I had a shift at the restaurant and I needed to get it covered. And like I told the manager, if I don't get this covered, I'm just going to quit. And he ended up covering the shift for me because I was so serious about it. I'm like, no, this is my first video game experience. I can't turn it down. It was an extra.
It doesn't matter. It's still, you got to do it.
I know. But I didn't get fired then. I quit later because he was a dick.
Yeah.
But,
well, he helped you out that time, which was good. I had a manager towards the end of my waiting tables career when it started picking up just a little bit and I was getting a lot of shifts covered. And my plan and my manager was that I was going to, like in December, like the end of the year, that was it. The new year, I was never going to wait tables. That was it. And it was about, 3 months from December. And it started picking up so much that I went up to him and I said, hey, I don't want to cause any trouble, but I'm starting to get a lot more work now. Is it better for you to keep covering my shifts like this? Or is it better for me to just retire 3 months early and save you that trouble? And he was like, I love you, but please retire.
Yeah.
It's like, you got it.
But you had the wherewithal to, make that decision because things were changing.
Yeah. Well, I set the universe in motion is the way I like to look at it. I set a date. I set a time where I was like, you know what? If it doesn't start by then, I'm going to quit anyway. I'm going to stop waiting tables. I'm not going to just keep doing this. So the universe listened. It was good. Thanks,
well, because you're also just putting it out there that like no more of this. Like sometimes it's out of necessity. We keep waiting the tables, but then one day you just go, things are changing. So what's one of your favorite voices to do that you just get so excited to go into the booth? Because you do a lot of, like in Miraculous Ladybug, you're a series regular. Do you call them series regulars in animation? And
I call my character the lead in Miraculous, personally. Not on every show, but in Miraculous, I consider myself the lead. Yes. Sorry,
but are they called?
The show is called Miraculous Tales of Ladybug and Cat Noir. And I play Hawkmoth, and I consider myself the lead.
You're amazing. You gotta say what you gotta say. But I was getting technical about terms like, I recur on that show as you do in film and TV, or I'm a series regular on an animation. I don't know.
I guess you would call it series regular. He's the villain, so so he's in every episode. I don't think there's been an episode he wasn't in. So
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm not specifying Miraculous, but like there are so many episodes, and that might be just like a fun voice that you do, but it's not like your favorite. Like, which is one of the ones that you just get so excited about to go in?
I don't know. I like over the top
give me your
stuff.
favorite three.
Like characters. Well, like one of my favorite characters is a very popular one, which is Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter. We don't pronounce the X. It's just some weird punctuation they've thrown in. And he was a really wild, trippy, like very different character. Very confident, a little bit of effeminate, kind of sexual, under/overtones here and there.
What does he sound like?
Well, when I came up with his voice, the audition said that he was effeminate, but not with a high voice. Because immediately I wanted to be kind of like, lilty and like up high. But then I read that and I was like, okay, so I got to keep it down, in the deeper kind of thing. And when I read more about him, the thing with him is he loves fighting. And he enjoys fighting the same way like a sex addict would enjoy sex. Like literally the same way. I'm not making a comparison. I'm saying fighting is like his sex kind of, if that.
Yeah. So, are you guys listening? Take notes, everybody.
I brought him in here where his very
That's
threatening as well.
Orgasm, Keith.
Huh?
Is that how you orgasm?
No, but there's an in his voice. He has to sound like that. I can't break out of it and do. I know you want to hear my orgasm, but that's not what this character called for. You'll have to wait for that.
Okay. I will wait patiently and talk to Rosemary about it. No, I love that because I do agree that you can make somebody very effeminate down here and set it up here, which is like maybe what the a lot of auditions went for. That's a delicious sounding character, by the way.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. I miss him because that show is all but gone. So unless they make more of those in Japan and bring him over here, then I'm done officially with him. But who knows? Maybe one day.
You never know. Hey, nostalgia factor makes things like come around.
You don't know what he looks like, right? Just being honest, right?
I'm terrible at a lot of these things.
Here. This is the beauty of having a trillion toys.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I can see like a Dave Bowie inside of him.
Yeah, totally.
And I call him Dave Bowie, not David, because we're friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I did notice that. Let's go way back, you and Dave. I call him me and
No, my cousin, when she first introduced me to him, I think she called him Dave Bowie, and that stuck in my head when I was like 5 or whatever, and since then in my brain it's just been Dave Bowie, even though it's David. Okay, so talk to me about Hawkmoth then, your lead. What does he sound like?
So yeah, Miraculous was an interesting show because that kind of auditions bounced around from studio to studio for this. So I think I auditioned 3 times for Hawkmoth, but for 3 different studios. The first 2 obviously bounced away from, so I don't know if anybody was ever ultimately cast. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of fell out of their hands. I don't know the politics or the reasons, but it finally ended up at a studio, and I was cast, and and then we did kind of a cool fun thing. We did a table read together initially, and so we got to meet everybody that we didn't know and kind of do the vibe, and the producers were listening over Zoom or what have you. And, we got the thumbs up afterwards. They didn't replace anybody, to my knowledge, from that. So I don't know if it was an audition or just they wanted to feel cohesively how this group sounds together.
Yeah.
And the rest has been history. He's an interesting character. He's very cliche. So there's not a lot to him that is really subtle. We dub it. Like the animation's already done for it.
Yeah.
So it's also very quickly paced.
Yeah.
So there's generally not a lot of room to languish in any one moment. I have less freedom probably on that show than anything else I dub.
Do you enjoy that? Dubbing is hard.
It is. And it's limiting
Yes.
But he's, pretty straightforward. He's either scheming or he's very angry. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a whole lot of, there are moments where you get some of his, some of the other emotions like sadness and the reasons for why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I like those shows.
What does he sound like?
Fly away, my little Akuma, and evilize them. He's very over the top cliche.
Totally.
But it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and that's kind of what works on that show. And it's you don't want to always play the character as straightforward as that when you're given choices, but once or twice in your career, I think it's fair game. And when you look back at some of the famous, villains like Skeletor from He-Man and stuff, or Cobra Commander, they don't have a lot of nuances either, and they're really famous, well-known characters that people love. So some shows really call for that. Like, we know that's the bad guy. It's very clear to all the kids. That's the bad guy. That's him. Yeah. So I'll take it.
For sure, we have a comment here. Now I can't see Hawkmoth the same after finding out it's Torb. Well, now you know.
That's what people say sometimes, and we all do that. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a character you like in a show or a game that is the exclusive character that actor does. Like, they don't do anything else. That's their only voice. That's what they do. That's the character. They don't work on anything else. You're not going to find that. So we all play various characters in different shows and games and audio.
Oh, of course. I mean, I think that sometimes people, like when they find out that I voiced this character Raze in Valorant, they're like, oh, now I hear Sombra or whatever. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
But it's good. I think that's a testament to your ability then to create this character, because if they're like, what? When I hear this, it kind of changes. It's like, well, good. That means you created something so unique and special here. You know what I mean? That they held on to that. Now they're like, wait, what? I don't know if... I don't know
how to separate it.
I can't. My brain won't do it. You can't be Torb and do another voice. You can't.
Oh my God, that's funny. I'm gonna ping you for other voices because I just love it. But I do have a question from Crabcakes125, which I would never know to ask.
Crabcakes.
Waldstein and Blaze Blue.
Blaze Blue.
Thank you, Blaze Blue.
Blaze Blue.
Cross Tag Battle is a character that you got to be the English voice of years after he was created. How much did you go into his history when researching this role, or when auditioning? Did you look into the backstory a lot, or?
Well, this is the time of the interview where I burst a lot of people's bubbles out there, because we all know in the movies, in these multi-million-dollar films, these actors are able to spend 3 months researching and becoming their character. And I'm not knocking that. That sounds like a blast. I would love to get millions of dollars for a film and have 3 months to set aside and research and become this character and live in that character's skin before, turning the first camera on. That sounds amazingly fun.
Yeah.
Voiceover is rarely like that. And for Waldstein specifically and many other things, they're so secretive. You get hired sometimes without an audition. You go in and then they tell you what you're going to do. They tell you about the character. Maybe they play, if the character's originated in another language, they'll play some clips so you can get an idea. If not, they just tell you. Then they say, what can you come up with? And you read the copy and they love it, or they say, what if? And then you tweak it, or you go, ooh, what about this? And they go, yeah, we like that, but... And after a minute or 2 or 3 or 5, they go, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what we want. So you spend a whole 5 minutes. I mean, the truth is you're still creating the character as you're reading through the script. Yeah. But you spent 5 minutes doing the base for the character. Now, if you auditioned for it, you may have spent more time on it. But even with auditions, we get a lot every day. Mm-hmm. So there's always a fine balance of, as much as I want the part, do I have an hour and a half to spend on this one audition when I have 15 more auditions? Or am I going to spend a good 15 minutes, 20 minutes on it and be happy with it and then send it off? And they know it's an audition. Yeah. So I hate to burst people's bubble, because we can rarely ever do that. We don't get books and books and time to research on these characters.
Yeah, but and someone says, they admire us so much because voice acting is so much harder than regular acting. I think it's a mix, right? I think that it gives us freedom to just sometimes go, we get auditions for video games where they're like, choose 7 roles that you can do and audition for only a limited amount, but you're reading 30, and it's like a little picture, a tiny description, and you just have to kind of go, because I'm not going to spend a ton of time trying to figure out voices for 7 characters that they're side characters. And I think the delicious part of it all is that we don't have to memorize lines, right, when we do voiceover, which is definitely one of the things that is harder for on camera. But
that's not my thing, memorizing lines.
I remember you said that once.
It was back in the, I remember, obviously, high school and so I took theater and what happens is I studied at South Coast Repertory in Orange County. Like there were places I did and I memorized, that was fine. But you go like 20 years doing just voiceover, for me at least. Now trying to memorize lines, it is very difficult. My brain does not want to do it. It does not. I have not practiced.
Because we haven't practiced. Exactly. Someone asked for tips on voice acting. Nightbot, my lovely Nightbot, put a link in the chat so that y'all can follow that, because I just kind of compiled stuff together to, because we answer this question so much.
Oh yes, lovely. Nightbox, did you say? Is it
Nightbot? It's just an automated thingy that does the thingies. Yes.
Wonderful.
And hi, Jeff Burns. I believe you know Jeff Burns.
I do. What's up, Jeff?
Yes, he's
Jeff
here in the house.
In the house.
Love
Dave.
One of the questions that I do like is, what was your toughest role? I've been in the booth sometimes where I'm really digging a role, but my voice sometimes doesn't want to play nice, and then it starts dipping into like raspy or too low pitch when it's supposed to be higher pitch. Like, have you had moments where you're like, oh, I'm slipping, and they know it? What do I do? Or finding the right tone.
I'm trying to think. Well, I've had difficult sessions for a number of reasons, or just characters that are hard to play. One I go to a lot is I worked on an anime called Monster, and I played this sociopath. His name is Johan.
Yeah, of course, they're all called Johan.
They're all named. I don't know if they're all named Johan. I don't want to piss off people named Johan, but this particular one was named Johan. And here's the thing: I could get to the place in his voice quickly, but let me say it this way. When I'm recording, I like to joke around. I always do. So I do my line. If there's time in between, I make a joke. I go back in. We do another line, because that's how anime works. You go line by line, right? So, so I started doing that. But this character was so just depraved and so dark and so just lived in this dark place that it felt very like I wasn't being honest with myself or with this character to try to joke and then jump back down to this dark. Like I could do the voice, but I just felt like that was 40% of it.
Yeah.
And I was making it difficult on myself by being myself and recording the way I always do. So I told Patrick Seitz was directing, and I told him, I am not in a bad mood, and I love you just as much as I loved you 10 minutes ago. But I'm not gonna, goof around in between takes, because I just feel like I'm cheating on this character, and it takes me a second to mentally get to the spot where I can be to play him. So I feel like I'm being honest, not just giving you a voice, but I'm feeling what he should be feeling.
Yeah.
And so that was, that was a little difficult. Like, and figuring out where he lives in his spookiest was easier for me, but where he lived at his most charismatic was difficult for me to figure out. Does that make sense? Like you're playing this character that's real freaky, but he's not always freaky because he's talking with children and they're all loving him and thinking he's great. So you can't have as creepy a tone.
Yeah.
Or else it's like, why would these kids like this guy? He's a total creep, obviously.
But so that's what's so fascinating about these complex characters, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And especially if you play, like with anime, you may have 7 scenes, you may have 2 sessions of a character who stays in one mode, and you get real comfortable in that mode, and then another session comes up and you see them in a different light. Like there's something different. They're with the one person they're normal with, or they like to laugh with. And it's kind of a jolt for the act, or for me at least, when I'm creating this character, because I'm like, I was very comfortable going here, and now I have to be true to this, but I can't give you this. I got to give you something a little different.
Yeah. Wow.
That's tough sometimes.
Yeah. So back to the crocodile.
Hey, how you doing, Sonic? Back to the crocodile here. I love me some Sonic the Hedgehog.
I played Sonic the Hedgehog as a kid. It's the first game on the Sega Genesis, right? So I have fond memories of it. So it's very cool to have been able to voice a character in that series. It's dear to my heart.
Do your girls love it, Sonic? Do they watch a lot of the stuff you voice, or not really? And it's like the opposite.
No. Listen, I have full control over my girls' memories, and I've learned this early on. No, this is I love this power I have. So as they were young, they're 9 and 5 now, but starting from when they were young, like they don't know what's popular on TV. Not when they're little. They know what I put on the TV. So they're gonna literally grow up and be like, "Oh my God, Dad, you were in everything." And then they're gonna realize, he wasn't really in everything. I don't force them to watch something they're not into. The ones that are appropriate, they like a lot. Things like, Miraculous, they love. I'm trying to think of some other shows that, what are ones that, well, I can't even think of them now. There's a bunch of them that they just will watch. They liked Glitter Force a lot. That's on Netflix, and that was one of the more
What was your character there?
Oh my God, it was one of the most fun experiences I've had.
Tell me all.
It's anime, it's dubbing, and well, it's actually interesting for those of you who know. If you haven't checked this out, first off, it's on Netflix. It's great. It's one of those like Sailor Moon style, like girl power, superhero girl teams. And I play 3 of the 4 bad guys.
I thought you were going to say 3 of the 4 girls.
Of the girls. I do. And this is the first one. She's Shaniqua. No.
I closed my eyes to see if I could envision.
Yes, no. No, but it's an interesting thing because I didn't even audition for it to start, and I went in to Studiopolis, which was the studio that was doing it, and I was recording for I don't know what, Bleach or something, and they had left the audition copy on the music stand in front of me on top of my script. So, or I guess I probably had an iPad, but they had left that right there on top of the iPad. So when it was time for my first take, just to be goofy, I started reading the dialogue for one of these girls, which clearly was not what I was supposed to read. And they're like, the director was like, "What are you doing? What are you reading? Is that copy's in there from them?" I'm like, "Yeah, it says it's Glitter Force, blah, 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 blah. It was on top. This is not what you want me to read." And she laughed and she said, "After the session, there are some male characters for that if you want to read for it." And I was like, "Yes, please." So it just kind of was happenstance. I don't know if they were going to call me in at all.
Yeah.
I mean, no fault of theirs. I just don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So I read afterwards, and I read for this character, Ulrich, who's the big bad wolf.
Who's a whole lot of fun. He's very evil, but he's down here. So exciting, and
he's just a fun character. He's one of those full body characters.
Yeah.
You don't just throw a little slight something. You just go with it. And so I voiced him, and I got cast for him. And then as we started recording, as these new characters came up, they said, "Hey, give a shot at this character." And then there was a character named Brute, who's this big troll, who's not really that smart at all, so you can really hear it in his voice. But he does whatever he has to do. And he's got a little bit of it's not quite a lisp, but a tongue problem he's got. Like, he doesn't understand it.
It's stuck in there, yeah.
Right. And then a little while later, there's a third one who's kind of the leader of them. And he looks like a jester, and his name is Rascal. "And for Rascal, we put him up here, so Emperor No-Go doesn't like what you're doing." So they were placed in just different enough spots.
Yes.
And they were unique enough character-wise that I was able to, because they argue and bicker with themselves throughout the whole series. So it was one of the most, and we did a lot of improvs that, not just me, all the actors, that they kept in the show. And I can watch it, and every actor in it makes me laugh, because I'm constantly going, I know that they added that, and I know they kept it, and it's hilarious.
Oh my gosh. That is so awesome, though, like, to be in one show and do so many characters.
It'll never happen again. It was so much fun.
Why won't it ever happen again?
Well, I just mean in the sense of that's rarely the way that it works. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real reason. There's plenty of actors that they could have called in.
Yeah.
It just so happened that they threw them at me, and like I said, they were different enough. Just, you know what I mean? Because if they're not different enough, they're like, "This is another 20-year-old guy, go." You're like, "Oh, well, I'm probably not going to be able to play 2 20-year-old guys who don't have anything super charactery or interesting about them, who talk to each other constantly."
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Much more difficult to pull off, especially when you have to scream or efforts, because they have to be placed differently in your mouth and in your vocal cords for you to pull that off when they're constantly bickering. So
yeah, of course. It's funny. I have auditioned for a few projects where they want maybe somebody to do the just a pilot and do 3 of the roles, but then when they actually move forward, you'll only do 1. But I just yesterday I was like, I got my like old school New York manager, and she's like this hot ass. And then once in a while, when I do my New York weekend and she does this, like if she gets raspy, the other one's coming out. So I gotta make sure to keep them in their separate little boxes, Yeah. Someone wants to hear your theater.
Oh, it is. It's from the more recent, World of Warcraft expansion, and I remember the session again. This goes back to how you create it on the spot.
Yeah.
It was created that day. I don't even think it was. I don't think I auditioned for it, to be honest. I don't think so. I could be wrong. But it was created on the spot. We lived it for 2 to 3 to 4 hours, and that was it. And I don't play World of Warcraft because I think it is probably so addictive that I would want to steer totally clear of it.
Yeah.
For me, I just don't have the time I would love it. I'm sure it would be amazing. If I thought it were bad, I'd be like, yeah, I'll play it. But I know it's great. It's been around forever.
Yeah.
So you'll have to type in theater and listen, because I don't even know where he lived, to be honest. I would do myself a disservice and theater a disservice. But I'm glad that you know that I voiced theater, so that's cool.
Yeah, there's so many questions. There's a lot of people and they're very excited, and there's the OGs who love come get your armor, or however that goes.
I'm raising my chair up. I've got one of those chairs.
Yeah, you do that. No, you don't.
Sometimes just to get comfortable.
Yeah, sure. I do the step thing often. Across the screen. I think that's fun. With Zoom, it's great.
It is.
Can somebody wants to ask Matreyes, however I pronounce that? Can I ask how he felt about Zaza Lamel's character? Zaza Lamel?
That's pretty good. Zaza Lamel.
Zaza Lamel.
You sound pretty good. That one was a big deal to me. Before I was doing voiceover, my favorite fighting game of all time was Soul Edge or Soul Calibur. Loved it. All my friends, we would get together and we would just play for hours and hours. It was the best fighting game. We loved it. So I auditioned for an ageless, immortal character. No name, no project. We don't know. All secret. Shh, we don't know.
It's always secret. Yeah.
I know. And I booked it. And I wasn't booking a lot at that time. I was pretty new on the scene. So I was like, awesome, so cool. So I go in to record. I go to a studio I've never been to, which now I've worked with a lot. So it makes me smile, because it's always nice when you remember, this is the first time I walked into that studio and met these people.
Yeah.
And the producers came out and greeted me with artwork. And the second I saw the artwork, I was like, oh, because I knew this was Soul. And then, of course, I saw the logo and I'm like, this is a Soul Calibur game. Oh, my God. But I, tried to be cool. They're not going to fanboy.
Pursed your lips and you were cool.
I was trying my best. But inside, I was like, oh, this is crazy. So it was a very cool session. I put 140% into it, because I'm like, this is my thing. This is my jam. This is early in my career. Yeah. All my friends are going to play this. The few other games I had done were I couldn't get my friends to play because they were just not popular, not that cool. They just are. It's just where you're at. And this was going to fall into their laps. I could say nothing and they'd be like, wait a minute.
Yeah. And what's that voice? What's that voice?
What's now you know the difference between you and I. He's a powerful, immortal warrior. And he's a brother. So that was one of my early black roles I got to play. So I was like, that was cool for me too. That's a personal cool thing.
Yeah, of course. Because you do voice the gamut of all races.
I can when it's appropriate. I mean, a lot of us do. I think it just depends on. A lot of times they want something specific.
I just do versions of Latinas. It's not that creative.
Well, there's nothing wrong, but I'm sure you do European stuff too, right? You do generic American white girl. Look at you, you do.
Not that many. I actually really
as
book
much.
a ton of different accents in Spanish. Like I can do Mexican in English, Colombian in English, Spanish in English.
Okay.
Like there's Puerto Rican in English. They're different. But
Yeah.
Clea LaVall is in on a Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon Cartoon Network. And she just talks like this, the whole time. Yes, she's American, but like a lot of my bookings have been in an accent just because I know how to do them, which is fine,
No, it's great. Listen, if it's working for you,
Yeah.
there's nothing. In fact, sometimes it's easier, I think, for actors that are kind of put in a category in some ways. I mean, not that I'm not saying you are or you can't break out of it, but if you just do this thing fantastically and you get known for that,
Yeah.
whatever it is, you're Russian. You have a perfect, Russian dialect because you grew up in Russia.
Yeah.
You might get so much work just from that one thing, and there's nothing at all wrong with that.
There's nothing. Yeah.
Someone like me who's a little more like I don't know where to place him, sometimes that can be harder for casting decisions.
Yeah.
Because I'm not the obvious choice always. It's like, maybe he can do it. So, you know what I mean? So it's an interesting thing. There's something to be said for like, oh, this person just does trailer voice, but oh my God, do they do trailer voice? Like they
Do you have a trailer voice in a world?
Totally. One man against an army of lesbian robots fighting for his life.
Well, whatever. We'll write the movie later, but
Wait, did you just come up with that, or do you have it like there ready to go? Because it's hilarious.
the world will never know.
I love that. That was so great. So now I want to see what lesbian robots are like.
You want to see the movie. You want to see it.
Okay, so a few people have asked for close-ups of your nerd room. They say you look like a cool shop. Can you move your camera at all, or do you have a laptop there?
This
We
is
could do a mini tour, just like me.
All I can do is do this.
Okay.
Ready? Hold on. It's not finished. See, there's tools on the
That's
floor.
yours.
Ignore that. That's because I'm still getting things back together.
Oh, good.
What can you see? Hold on. Let me tilt it.
Yeah,
You know what I like especially about it? You see the air conditioner in the middle?
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a steampunk look to this room a little bit. Not major, but a little bit. And that used to be like white plastic. So it was the first thing that my friend Charlie came over and he aged it and painted it because it looked stupid in the room.
So cool.
We got a window there. We got more stuff. There's stuff on the... See, this is what I haven't put away in the back. Everything that's in that box that's supposed to go somewhere. All right, hold on. Let's see what's on this side.
So for those latecomers, most of these are, things Keith loves.
Yeah, my booth is
and they're
right
somehow connected to projects he's worked on. That's so much fun. It's so beautiful. Do you keep them in boxes or do you pull Funkos out?
The Funkos I keep in boxes. I think Funkos were actually designed to be kept in the boxes. That's why they had the window on two sides.
I like pulling them out. They're cuter.
Well, you should.
I do. I'm just asking, what you're...
No, for a lot of the other toys that come in boxes, sometimes I'll get two so I can have the box with one in it and one in front of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Generally, I just get one of everything. But the Funkos, I don't need to open them because I can really see them so well in the box. So they display really nicely. And I'm not against people opening. My kids open up their Funko Pops and play with them. But if I'm not going to play with them, if you play with them in the box, you're silly.
Do you play with your Funkos?
Sometimes I do. You got me. You and your goofy voices. You make me do goofy voices too. What?
Do they ever go, Dad, stop doing voices? Or do they just love the crap out of it?
Mostly they like it. There are times I was reading. Oh my, what's that? I forgot what the book was right now. The wind. What's the one with the three witches? Classic. Anyway, I was reading this book to my son.
Macbeth?
No, that's it. You're right. There are three witches in Macbeth. I don't remember. They made a movie about it recently.
Hocus Pocus.
No, never forget it. Don't worry. I can't remember what it's called. But I was reading this book, and one of the witches, I had to differentiate their voices. So one of them had an older voice, something. And he was like, you know what? Not that voice, Dad. No, he didn't dislike the voice. It just scared him when he was little. He's like, don't do her voice like that. Just change it. And I'm like, man, we've already gone through 4 pages. Now in my brain, I'm trying to keep all these damn characters separate. But okay, I don't want to freak you out. I don't want you to have nightmares. So
oh my God, it's so funny.
Nix that one.
We just got rated by Waifu Extreme. Thank you so much. And we also, I will shout out all of the subscriptions at the end, guys. So don't worry.
Yeah, thanks for joining, everybody.
Yeah. It's been a full house. It's great. Hikari Kenzaki, you subscribed for 5 months. Thank you. Why are you asking Wrinkle in Time? Is that?
That's it. A Wrinkle in Time. That's the book. I couldn't remember it. Yes.
Okay. I was like,
Thank you.
Got it.
Yes,
Yeah, the movie wasn't that great.
voice for one of them because your 4-year-old won't like it.
They're like, that's not fun, Dad. Stop it.
Nope. Yeah, but usually they're all for it. They dig it, but they don't give Mom a hard time if Mom doesn't do voices. So they're very accepting. They're just used to it. They do voices too, which is fun. Especially my
God, I love it.
My 5-year-old, because my 5-year-old, she only alters her voice slightly, but she alters her face a lot.
Oh my
so
God.
Like, hey, what's going on, Dad? And I'll be like, are you doing a voice right now? And she'll be like, and she'll keep going. But it's like a slight difference of the voice, but the face is all contorted, and it's so cute to me.
Oh my God. You know what's funny is when people have seen videos of me doing the sombra voice, like I have to squint my eyes to be all Michelle Rodriguez-y, and so I'll be like, mess with the best and die like the rest. And they're all like, why does she squint her eyes? And I'm thinking, if I had to do a live action, like I got to work on not squinting them while I do sombra, because everything she says is just so smoldering that it's just like, hack the planet. Like it has to do this, you know? And it's just what I do to get that voice out. But obviously people didn't know until they saw my freaking videos.
Yeah, no, that's a great thing. Physical, having something physical for your character can work really, really well. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes subconsciously we'll do it. We just, when we go to a certain character, we stand a certain way, or we lean more, or, I always, when I'm injured, I always kind of hold myself somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that way, it's easy if you have 1 or 2 words, but if you want to remember that you're injured, like it's really good for me to be like, I think we need to go to, just to remember that. It doesn't make my sound any different. It just reminds me through a monologue that I'm injured.
Absolutely. So 2 questions coming in.
Pop, pop.
What was it, Jeff B? What was it like to take on a role like Lupin in the 3rd? And then also, what was it like working on Genshin Impact, which we haven't talked about? So,
all right. Well, Lupin was a dream come true. I grew up watching Lupin the 3rd. It's one of my favorite animes. It always has been. I never thought I would get an opportunity to play this character. There have been a number of actors who voiced Lupin the 3rd. Tony Oliver being, for me, the most notable. That's arguable for other people. I'm just saying for me, and who's a friend of mine I work with all the time. And so I got an email audition from Bang Zoom Entertainment that was, they're casting for Lupin the 3rd and Jigen, 2 of the characters for a movie. And I had to read it a couple times because I was like, I know these characters have been cast for years and they're set, but apparently they just wanted a different tone. The movies are a little more adult in terms of violence and sexual, themes and stuff. Yeah. So I auditioned for both of them, and I don't think I've been as excited really to get an email back that I was cast, because I got email back. I'm reading it. You're cast as Lupin the 3rd, blah blah blah. And I read through the whole thing, and I went right back to the top. You were cast as Lupin the 3rd. I read it. We're happy to tell you were cast as Lupin. I'm looking at it. I'm like, because I couldn't believe it. And it was just a personal thing. It wasn't like this was a $1 trillion job or I could retire after. It was just for like, are you serious? So I had to read it over and over. Anyway, it was so much fun. I had a blast recording it. And we've done 3 movies so far. And on the last one, Tony Oliver directed it, he was great, but it was such a weird experience because even in directing me, he was like, he told me, he said, I have to be careful not to go, because he's played Lupin longer than I have. Yeah, and he's still playing Lupin. This is just these 3 movies. So let's make that clear. He was not replaced. So he was like, I don't want to direct you like my Lupin would do this. So he had to be real careful to be like, I got to trust your Lupin. So it was more technical direction and less character direction, but it was interesting, but it was nervous. I was nervous. Like, oh my God, Tony, you're direct. Like, oh God, you know what I mean? Like he would never be a jerk. I knew it would go well, but it was, for me, it was like, oh, is he going to shake his head at me? Like, that's wrong. Like, Like, what's he gonna do?
Yeah, that's scary. That's nerve-wracking.
It was a little bit nerve-wracking, but he made me very comfortable, and he was great. I love working with him every chance I get. So that's Lupin, dream of mine. So very cool.
Quick interjection. I booked it was a demo imitating Sofia Vergara for a commercial she was going to do, and I booked it, and because I can imitate her pretty decently, and when I show up, they're like, so we want you to do your Sophia, but like less well. We don't want her to think that it's a caricature of herself or that we're making fun of her.
Right.
Because she's got this heavy accent, right? And so I would do it, and they're like, it's kind of too spot on, like mediocre it up a little so that she just feels like it's like a feel of her, but it's not quite her. And I was like, oh, that's funny, because it was different, it wasn't like I'm being directed by her. That would be weird, right?
Right.
But I'm still like trying to kind of not nail her just so she doesn't feel like she's a caricature of herself. I don't know.
Well, I guess it depends on the project, right? Some projects that may be the whole joke. It's like, sound as much like her as you can.
Yeah.
And other ones are going to be like, no, go further. Make her more dialect than she ever dreamed of having.
Yeah. Sorry, continue. And then you were going to tell us all about the other one.
Something about Sean Lee from Genshin Impact. What was the question? Was it how I got the...
Well, just what was it like working on that? But, if there's something fun that you would like to share, we always dig the
Well, I think the interesting part for those who are Genshin Impact fans, how I got the gig was the most interesting part. And the cool thing about that was...
Take that? Is it Disney? Is it Nickelodeon? Is it a video game? Is it the wife of
Spielberg?
Torbjorn?
I just told him, I put him directly to voicemail. I was like, come on, again? Really? Could you imagine? I would be like, screw you guys. I would just run out with the phone. Yes, Mr. Spielberg, yes. And I don't know if that would never happen. But anyway, I was driving through Burbank running some errands or something. And I got a call from my agent, and I was told, that there's this game and they want you to come in. Can you come in like within the hour? Is that possible? Your schedule says you're free. So it was like, okay. And they were like, it's a guaranteed one session, and it may be more. Like, it may be more, but we don't know. So I kind of dropped what I was doing, and I went into the studio and went in, and I met the, director, and I met the, producers and, the people that were there. And they talked to me about what they wanted me to do for this character. The character was Zhang Li from the game was Genshin Impact. And they played a YouTube video of me voicing a character from Bleach. And they were like, we want kind of like this character, which was so funny to me. It wasn't even like a character I'm really well known for. It's kind of the character on Bleach. I don't even remember his name. That fans will remind me, remember you did this? Oh yeah, that was one episode. I did the younger version of so-and-so, or the dark version of this one guy. So anyway, we started recording, and not even knowing if they were going to keep me. It was literally like, we're going to try you.
It's like a test.
It kind of, but it was not an audition because it was a paid session.
Yeah.
And we did it. It went great. I had a lot of fun working on it. There were a lot of words that were very difficult to pronounce, and I needed lots of instruction, but thankfully I was not the only one. And then it just continued on. They were like, yeah, we got it. We're going to do more and more. Now, the thing that's interesting about that, though, is like all games, you never know where a game's going to go. So probably when you auditioned for Overwatch, you had no idea that it was going to be this world. How would you know it's going to be a worldwide phenomenon unless it already is when you audition? So,
well, the funny thing is when I auditioned for Overwatch, it was already out, but I didn't even Google it because I thought it's a code name. I'm not even going to find anything about it.
You did the right thing.
I did.
It would have been too nerve-wracking, I think, to be like, wait, what? This is insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then to watch this thing just kind of blow up and see its impact, if you will, on the world has been, again, it reminds me a lot of Overwatch in the sense that it's crazy. It's insanely popular. And so now, it's kind of fun when you go in after you know how big it is. You still do the same work, but I don't know. There's something else like, it was cool before, but now you're like, more cool.
Guys, I want you to know that when we go to cons, like we pull out our suitcases and I pull out my little sombra print, frickin' Keith has boxes and boxes, and he opens them up, and here's this character, and here's this character, and here's this character. He's got so many characters that he has all these prints to sign for them, because obviously if you're, a Genshin Impact fan, you don't want a Torb autograph, so they're gonna need that. And this guy's just like, it's mind blowing. I just had to put that out there. And you're so organized with your prints. I've observed that as well. It's beautiful.
I try.
My really good friend went to Anime Expo when we were sitting next to each other, and she goes, Kato, you need to take a page out of his book. Look at him. He's really organized. And I'm like, shut up. Because I had a freaking manila envelope. I was so not and we were just so meticulous about it. And she's like, would you learn from the best? I'm like, I know. So that was hilarious.
Yeah. I try to, I've learned, but I've been doing cons for a while. So I learn a little bit more every time I do a convention. And it's helped. Like, people need to see, like, you got to have the banner. You got to have the stuff, because if they don't see it, people like to stop 20, now, they like to stop 20 feet away and just look at you.
Yeah.
And they have to see something that makes them go, oh, they do so-and-so? Or else they walk on by. They don't come and say hi. And later they're like, I didn't know you were at that show. I didn't know that was you. I wish I know.
I know.
Nice big banners, all that stuff. I keep learning every time I do it. And now we're doing them from home.
I'll give them to you when I'm done. All right, guys. We have 1 minute with fabulous Keith here. Where can we find you? Oh, Miranda O'Hare is rating me. Thank you so much. We're almost done. Miranda's a beautiful voice actress on the new game I'm on, Valorant. Thank you for joining.
Hello, hi.
Where can people find you, Keith?
They can find me. I'm at Silver Talkie on Twitter. Just Keith Silverstein on Instagram. Keith Silverstein voice artist on Facebook, although I'm never on Facebook, so you don't try to message me there, because I'll never see it. But right now I am doing a signing, if I can mention. I'm doing a Streamily signing this Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. I'll be on Instagram Live, and I've got prints for all the main characters. Zhongli, brand new Zhongli print. I'm going to post today. I have a Reaper from Call of Duty Black Ops print, which I've never offered before, and I have a Goheen from Beastars print that I've never offered before also. And you can just go to, I think it's streamily.com/Keith Silverstein, and purchase whatever you see there. I've got lots of different options, and then join me for the signing if you can. If not, either way, I will sign it live, and they will send you your print. So
yeah, super. Like I did that 2 weekends ago, and it was awesome. Can you leave us with a Torb line and a Zhongli line?
Sure. I like how you say it.
How do I say it? How am I supposed to say it?
I don't even say it right. I say it the way. I mean, apparently, in the original dialect, it's a little different, but it's Zhongli. Zhongli. All right, we'll start with Zhongli, because the Torb's like baby.
Yeah.
Pack the planet.
Or more, I guess. Osmanthus wine tastes the same as I remember. But where are those who share the memory? And
that was sexy.
People always underestimate the engineers.
They're almost the same guy.
Almost the same guy. Keith, thank you so much for coming. I still have to shout out some subscribers, so I'm going to let you go so that you can get on with your important stuff. And then I'll just thank everybody for subscribing and cheering and all the fun stuff.
Yes, this was a pleasure. This was a pleasure, and I really look forward to when we can just hang out. I would love to have you over and have a nice big party here, and
can't wait to party it up.
List. I know. Soon. Stay safe. Everybody out there, stay safe.
And last question, did you get the Time Spiral Remastered box? They asked that a bunch, and I forgot to ask you.
I did. And for those who want to know what I got, what I pulled from it, I'm keeping it sealed. I just got one. It's all reprints. I have all the magic cards. I have plenty of that. I just wanted to have one sealed for my collection, and it looks beautiful.
Awesome.
I love it. So yes.
Thank you, Keith. Don't get your beard caught in the letterbox.
I won't. I never do, because I can't grow a beard. Bye, people. Here we go. I'm quitting.
Bye.
Here we go. Leave meeting up.
Oh, he left the meeting, and now I'm here with Danny, but she's also invisible. Guys, I had to let him go because he had what we call a hard out at 1 for important things. Oh, cool. Being able to interview people that I haven't gotten to know. So, no screaming, actually. It was really fun. Mercy, you don't have to renew your sub, guys. I really just appreciate you showing up. Deborah, gonna be like a church sermon. Yeah, she goes, hello, goddess, blessed is the day we are here. Not that she's religious. I don't know what her religious affiliations are, but she's just like, how are you, goddess? And I'll be like, Deborah, so the problem is, she goes, no problems, only solutions, goddess. And I'm like, yep, goddess, absolutely. All right. Yeah, have you had the Lifeline voice actress on before? No, I don't know who she is. If you let me know, I'll try and reach out. What's her name? Oh, Melanie! Dude, I know her. She's with my agency. I will... Good idea. I'm writing that down. And she's good friends with Anjali as well, so it'll be an easy reach out. Super! Mr. Sean and Mr. Wick, go sleep. I have not had Ash as a guest on yet. I did do a video with her on my YouTube channel. She's busy as all hell, so I'll bug her later. Sometimes I just know that some people are busier with voice work, so it's like hard to pin them down. Like I've tried to get Nashir Dalal on so many times, and he keeps booking work. So literally, we're booked for May with him. Anyway, guys, I've got to run because I've got an appointment soon. But you should get my friend Carola Parmigiano, who was in Cyberpunk. Cool. Yeah. When's Keanu coming? We wish. We all wish. Oh, Johnny Young, Bosch. Yeah, absolutely. I will work on all of these. Jen Hill fixing her house up. Absolutely. Oh, man. You know, I'm going to try and get my vaccine soon. So, craziness. Deborah Wilson. Yeah. Another hype train. Woo! Okay, go make your summer fan art and tag me on the Insta, and we'll be able to check it out. Guys,